I get drafted, of course, the 23rd pick.
With the Knicks.
With the Knicks.
We watched the NBA draft. We see the kids get called. Like, where were you, in fact? Where were you in it?
So I was actually at the draft, but you got the guys that's invited to the draft, so they all in the green room, they call it whatever. I was in the stands with the fans.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Too many talented athletes are losing to adversity. And I want to teach you a solution to help you rise above adversity. Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, man, I'm super excited because I have a very special guest in the building with us today. He is somebody who represents hope and inspiration to a lot of young people here in Ben Harbor. Not just young people. I think, you got old heads who really appreciate him for all the things that he's done and what he represents for the city of Ben Harbor. And I get to introduce him as my first NBA player interview, and we're talking about none other than Ben Harbor's Wilson Chandler. Hey, man, I'm glad to have you, man. So grateful for you to take the time out your day to come and do this. Now, originally, you wanted to be in the flesh. We were locked in for the ASAP Summit, Rise Above It, which is where kids are going to be seeing this for the first time. But you had some things to come up. And but you still say, you know what, I'm gonna make some time, man, and have this interview with you. And so, again, appreciate you. And hopefully on the next go round, we can make some things happen. And I do want to say that we got something special that we planning for that 30 group of kids who are going to win an opportunity to do something special. And we're going to be announcing that here soon. But Will, man, look, so I want to kind of, take this time to hear your story, hear your journey. I think a lot of times kids, we see the Steph Currys and the LeBrons and, those guys that we see on TV all the time and all that. But, man, to have somebody from right here in our hometown to have made it to play at the highest level of the game, I think it's an amazing thing. And I want you to share with us what that journey was like, all right? So we can just kind of start with, elementary school. Like, at what point did you, was basketball the only sport you played, or did you play any other sports coming up?
It was always basketball, man. So elementary, I was average. I was on the team. Mm-hmm. I wasn't the best player on our team. We had our point guard was the best player on our team, and we had these leagues on Saturdays at the Armory.
Okay.
Jump Start. So I played, I was average.
Yeah.
Loved basketball though.
Yeah.
My grandma was a big basketball fan, a big Bulls and Michael Jordan fan.
Yeah,
so I got that love for the game from her.
Okay.
So it started there at home. Her and my grandfather raised me, so that love for a ball came from her.
Came from her. Okay, man, that's what's up. So you grew up on MJ then?
Yeah, I grew up on MJ.
Yeah.
Wasn't always my favorite player. Bulls was my team, but
Yeah.
I think more so like I like Jamal Mashburn growing up.
Yeah,
I like Penny Hardaway growing up. I did like Jordan, of course, Grant Hill.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you started off playing basketball, and it's been your primary sport the whole time. Now, it's interesting that you said you started off as you was just average. You wasn't the best player on the team. What happened? Like, how do you go from I'm average on the team when I first started playing to eventually I make it to the NBA? What transpired in the middle of that?
I think it's a life in general.
Yeah.
I think confidence. At that time, I don't think I had the confidence.
Yeah.
Even if I had the skill, I don't think I had the confidence anyways.
Yeah.
To be one of the best players back then. So I think confidence got built over time.
Yeah.
I grew taller, got older, got stronger, developed more skills. Man, I think just life in general, just dealing with personal issues and stuff like that. So over time, like a combination of all those things kind of grew.
Got you. So starting early, not having the confidence, but still playing the sport. What kind of environment? You grew up in Ben Harbor. Mm-hmm. When people hear Ben Harbor, some people hear negative things. Negative thoughts or ideas come to mind from stuff that may have happened in our community. What was it like at that time? Were there distractions as you was coming up? Were there and what made you stay focused?
I think it's similar to now. It's different times, but I think it's similar. Like the distractions, going from my parents, staying with my grandparents, and it's kind of similar to, you know, what a lot of kids deal with now, you know, like why your parents don't want you, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that played a lot into the confidence too. But yeah, you had that. Then you had like stuff going on in the street. So, you know, that's always a distraction, whether you're going to get into that or you're not. And then just being a kid in general, you know what I mean? Like at that time, like it's not a lot of kids, no social media at that time. So it's not a lot of kids taking basketball too serious as an elementary, you know. Now it's different. You got social media, so kids is phenoms early. So at that time, like, no kid really taking, like you got kids that's taking it more serious, that's kind of better at that time, but not like, oh, this kid just the next LeBron or next, LeBron wasn't that time, but the next Jordan or whatever, Kobe or whatever. Now it's like you getting tracked, you know, early, you know what I'm saying? You're getting scholarships, junior high, some players, you know what I mean? So it's a little different, but at that time, man, a lot of distractions just came from being a kid and, like I said, with my parents and my grandparents and just trying to like navigate that whole situation.
Sure. Man, you said something that I don't want to skip past this, man. I want to sit here as long as you want to sit here in terms of dealing with confidence, right? Like not having the confidence and why that confidence was lacking. Because I'm assuming right now that there are kids who are in the audience who they love to play and they may be good, but when they step on the court, the confidence is not translating, right?
I don't know. It's tough. Everybody, there's different reasons. You know, I've played with players in the NBA that was like that. And everybody has a different reason. Some is the crowd. Some is personal, like internal. You know, but everybody's different. Then sometimes it just takes time to get used to things. Like I used to hate playing in front of crowds, and it's crazy because it's a small town, so it's like it's not a huge crowd really. Then you go to playing at 20, 25,000 people and not hearing a thing. So I think I don't know the reason why. I know mine's, but everybody's different, you know what I mean? I think once I let a lot of stuff go, and I came like kind of, I kind of just like not dealt with it. It's kind of like I was at peace with it. And I think that kind of like let my confidence grow.
Got you. What was it that you had to let go?
Just personal vendettas, like, you know, because that kind of take away from the job that my grandparents were doing, like, you know, focusing on like stuff I couldn't control. And I had a good, you know, upbringing. So.
Focusing on things that you can't control.
And that's a big thing in sports, like, because you can't control the coach. You can control like how hard you work. You can control like, you know, like your spirits on the court, your spirits on the bench, how you deal with your teammates and everything around that, you know. So you can't give the coach, you know, excuse for like to do whatever he's gonna do.
You can't control the ref.
You can't control the ref. You can't control the fans. You can't control the other team. All you can do is control yourself, how hard you work. You know what I'm saying? What you put into the game. So
Nah, that's great, man. And I do believe that I think you hit in terms of, you know, sometimes there are personal issues that, you know, you may be dealing with at home. I was just sharing with some kids. I just spoke at Niles and Ward of Elite before coming here, and you know, I was talking to a group of kids afterwards, and during that conversation, a lot of them were just, you know, just struggling with translating or transferring my belief and my confidence in myself when I'm practicing or versus when I'm actually getting into the game and it not translating, right? And then the other thing that I noticed too was that there are, you said two things. You said sometimes there are personal issues, and then there's the crowd. So you have within and you have without. And so you gave us some steps, because I want to be practical with them. You mentioned just letting go, right? You just let go of the things that you couldn't control. And what does that look like? What does letting go look like? How do I let go?
On the personal side, I think it's more like focusing on like what you have, focusing on like the people that appreciate you. And like I said, what you can like do yourself, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like almost with like praying, like you could pray to God, but you still got to put in the work.
It's,
you know?
it's something you can do.
So I think at that moment when you finally let go and you kind of like just appreciate the things you have, you kind of like start to do the work yourself. Because it's like, now I can control X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to focus on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that kind of like builds confidence slowly, you know what I'm saying? Then you start, you get that one success, that one small success, that next small success, and it kind of like that incremental steps. Like now you snowballing, so it kind of come. Then 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. Like you kind of just build. Like,
Gotcha. In fact, I'm glad you just mentioned that. So let's talk about 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Was it during that time where you had this growth spurt, or?
No, I got my growth spurt going into my freshman year of high school. And then when you start having those small successes, like maybe on the outside, people don't really see it. They see it, they might be like, oh, he's good, but not like he's best player on our team good. And the best player might not be seeing it either. And then like one day it's like, now it's like y'all either here or you there, because they kind of like let the guard down. They still the same player from when they was in 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah, gotcha. So you get to 9th grade, you go to Ben Harbor High School.
No, so I left. I went to Fair Plains 7th to 8th grade. I left and went to Indiana my freshman year with my mom to try to see how that was going to be like. And then I ended up leaving there the end of my freshman year. And I came back like the last month of freshman year to Ben Harbor. Yeah.
Got you. Now, this is probably like the 3rd time that you said this, man. And now we can edit out whatever you want to edit out, but I just want to kind of dig a little bit. So you didn't grow up with your mom, your mom and dad. All right. And was that something, you kind of mentioned this earlier, was that a part of the thing that, like, man, my parents want me, don't want me, I got to live with my grandma? Like, was that a struggle for you early?
Yeah, I think so, because no matter, like, what your parents say or do, like, the fact is you live with your grandparents. So, like, you always had that in the back of your mind. So I think that's something that's always there.
Got you. So when you go down to Indiana, you trying to work that out. I'm trying to live with my mom. I'm trying to kind of build some type of relationship. And you down there for
almost a year.
Almost a year.
Come back, and sophomore year, you go to
Ben Harbor.
Back to Ben. Now, and by this time, you hit a growth spurt.
Yeah, so I'm taller now when I come back. I'm taller than everybody.
Okay.
Now, were you playing guard? Were you a guard when you was?
Nah, so when I was in junior high, I was a 3-man.
Okay.
And when I came back, I was a 4 or 5-man.
Gotcha.
At the time, for height standards.
Got you. So what was it like, man? You know, every time I look up Ben Harbor state championship or playoffs or something.
Yeah, historically, Ben Harbor always had great players, like a lot of great players. For a small town, we got we got 4 NBA players.
Okay.
For a town of 9,000 people, that's
that's
you know
a
what I'm
big
saying?
deal.
Yeah, we got an NBA Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So we always historically had good athletes in general, but basketball has always been like our bread and butter, and we always had great coaches. And then, you know, Michigan is good basketball. So you got Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Flint, Saginaw, Detroit. So always good competition, too. So historically, we always had good players. But it was, like, coming back then, like, from 8th grade, then almost 10th grade, like, you see all your friends and everybody, like, they older now. So everybody's kind of, like, doing the older things. You know what I mean? So you kind of get, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to play basketball a little bit. Then I come back, my grades kind of messed up. Kind of similar to what a lot of kids, like I said, going through now. My grades kind of messed up. I'm like, I really didn't like the older guys on the team. So I'm like, man, I really don't want to play, kind of. And then like our coach at the time, Ramsey, he kind of like pushed me. Like,
I know Coach Ramsey.
He come pick me up, make sure I was doing what I was supposed to do. So with that push, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and then play.
Yeah.
Man, so, man, you know, I ended up leaving my freshman year. I moved from Mobile to California. And my mom was trying to get away from my dad. You know, it was an abusive situation. And so we went to California. And it was in Cali that I really, like, man, I love basketball. You know what I'm saying? I love for the game came back. I ain't come back with no growth spurt, though. I ain't come back with no growth spurt, but I did come back better, right? So I'm just curious as to when you came back, what I was thinking about when you talk about friends get older and start doing older things. I'm just curious how, do you think that year away was somehow a benefit for you in terms of like taking you away from stuff that you probably could have gotten into had you still been here?
I think so in a sense. I think like with a lot of things, like you kind of learn as you go.
Yeah.
I think early on, I knew one thing I wasn't gonna do. Like I knew I wasn't gonna be like in the streets.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying. I grew up in the neighborhood or whatever, but like just get into like certain stuff in the streets. I knew I wasn't gonna do that for sure. It just wasn't what I was into for real. Like you know, I got in trouble as a kid, but it was more so like now I want to go to school, now I want to do my work, and just playing around too much at school. You know what I mean, stuff like that. So like kid stuff.
Got you. So you.
But it did do me justice though, just to get away.
Yeah.
And then I was able to stay with her for that year.
Yeah.
And then it kind of made me appreciate like having my grandparents, what we had, and stuff like that. So but from that standpoint, it definitely brought me a lot of like tools I needed for the future for sure.
Yeah, nah, that's good.
Yeah. That's good. So sophomore year, junior year, what year of high school was like? Would you say was like this was my breakout year?
My junior year, my sophomore year. So we had probably, I know at least 10 sophomores on the team. I want to say more, but we had at least 10, and we had some.
And this is varsity.
Varsity.
So you had 10 sophomores on the varsity team.
At least.
Yeah.
And then I think we had 3 or 4 juniors, then we had 3 seniors. And they was like 3 seniors was probably like supposedly our best players or whatever. So it was like kind of like that power struggle. Like we wasn't all that good. And then my junior year is where I hit my biggest leap personally.
Yeah. And was that when you started getting attention from like scouts and stuff?
Yes, scouts statewide. Like it was like my sophomore year, it was like the potential was there. But you got 3 seniors, they shooting all the balls. They get a lot of the touches. You know how that goes. And then my junior year is like, that's when I put it together. Like big games, I played bigger in big games. We played good competition. So then you had guys going to schools. So we played Detroit teams. We played. They had 3 D1 players on the team. Well, this person going there, we played Lance and Everett. They had a kid going to Michigan State. I kill him in the state tournament. Izzo at the high school the next day. You know how that goes. So I put it together then. That's when I had the breakout year, my junior year.
So sophomore year, I mean, was it your senior year you won Mr. Basketball?
My senior year. So like that. Senior year, you come back, and then I decided where I was going to school early. So going into my senior year, I knew I was going to DePaul. So I didn't have to focus on where I was going to school at. So I was just focused on basketball.
What made you choose DePaul?
Originally, it was Michigan State, verbally, and then I kind of backed out of that because DePaul was like a better fit. That I think the style of play at the time, like Big Ten is slow. Slug it out, and then Big East is like up tempo, high scoring, running and gunning. I think that the fit was there. I think the connections was there. We had a few players from Ben Harbor that went there. And then my point guard from AAU was going there. Because he had just, he was supposed to go to Ohio State, but then they switched coaches. So then he went to DePaul. So we had that connection already. I knew he was going to start. So I knew I was going to touch the ball. So that just, I think, like the fit, the system, the system, how I fit in the system, the style of play in that conference. Then it's the Big East, the old Big East. You got Notre Dame, you got Syracuse, you got St. John's, Georgetown, Louisville, Cincinnati. You pick a school. Like at that time, we had like 20 teams in the conference. So I'm playing everybody. And at that time, we got UConn, Rudy Gay, all of them at UConn. You got Kyle Lowry and those guys at Villanova. So, you had good teams every night.
And you get a chance to, like, if I'm going to do this.
You know what I'm saying?
So I'm in that conference. The fit and my point guard is going there.
It just made sense. It just made sense. And I saw he posting pics all the time about it. The mayor, Mr. Muhammad. He went to DePaul too.
So he actually took me to get my suit for Mr. Basketball. He got he got the whole suit thing going on. So I got the plug in Chicago. Take me. I was a kid. I got a pinstripe suit on like that.
Nah, that's cool, man. So you at DePaul now. You actually end up. At what point was it in high school or college where you said, "Man, I could play in the NBA"?
It was college. I mean, before then I used to say it, but every kid say that. You know, that's like a thing you just say just because you play basketball. Like kids that not even good say that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just say it just because. But I know before that though, when I played AAU, I played for at the time it was like you got the family, which everybody knows is the biggest AAU organization in Michigan. But at the time, before they stopped, the Hurricanes was like, depending on who you asked, it was 1 or 2. So I played for the Hurricanes, and it was a national team. So when I first started playing with them, we went out of town, and the first tournament that's when I got to see like everybody on the national scale, like from KD to Lou Williams to Monte Ellis. So I was like, I gotta get my stuff together. But
what grade were you in? Was it your sophomore year, junior year?
This was my junior year. My sophomore year I played AAU, but I played for a smaller team. But at the same time, I played good. So I'm like, I can play here easily. I just got to get better. But right now, I can do this easy. Like, so it was just like that. Like I said, it was the snowball effect. That then ABC camp, NBA camp. You know what I'm saying? I do good every time I go. I come back ranked higher in the nation every time I go.
And you just said something that I really want you to talk about, man, when it comes to the work, right? So you were exposed. By exposed, I mean like you got this exposure where you get a chance to see what the national talent look like, right? And you said to yourself, I can play here, but I got to get better. What did that getting better look like? What kind of work were you putting in?
Because before, I'm not gonna act like I always had like crazy work ethic. Like before, I didn't really like to work out and all that. It was a different time too. Like now, how kids like do NBA workouts at a young age, it wasn't like that. We just played basketball. So the thing I did like to do, I love to play basketball. So I always played basketball every day. Like I played basketball 2 and 3 times in a day. Like I played before school, during school, after school, wintertime, shovel snow, play basketball, all that. So I did like to play. It was just like I had to start working. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the love for the game was already there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Wanting to play was already there. Just had to kind of work smarter, not harder. Like I was already working. It was just like, what am I working for? Now I gotta go.
Gotcha.
So you're at DePaul, you declare for the NBA draft early. What made you declare early?
Not saying. So I'm gonna tell you my truthful answer. But it's one of the things I regret too. And I'm gonna say that before I say the reason why. Like I always regret it, even to this day, like not taking school serious, high school and college, because I could do the work. I ain't want to do the work, and it made people think that I couldn't do the work. So not like as a adult, like I always regret that. Like but the reason why I left school was because I didn't like school.
Gotcha.
And that was really the only reason I left.
And you know, I mean, that's a first of all, that's a fair thing. You know what I'm saying? One of my mentors, man, you probably heard of him, know him, Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, do all the motivational videos and stuff like that. Man, he just talked about how he hated school, you know. And just didn't like school. But here's what I want to do though, because there's some kid out there who they see, oh man, Wilson Chandler didn't like school, so I'm about to leave now, and I want, you know what I'm saying? But Wilson Chandler also 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", right? Super talented, you know what I'm saying? And this person who's listening to this, they might be 5'9" or 5'8", you know, and might not necessarily have the same skill. So what I hear you saying, that say a little bit more about the part that you are saying that you regret.
Just because, like, you never know. You don't have to be 5'9". You can be 6'9", and just the situation not the same as mine, so you might not make it. You know what I'm saying? Or it might not be the perfect situation for you, so you don't have to be 5'9". You could be 6'10". You could be 7 foot.
You could be 7-footer.
Because it's only so many roster spots you can have. So it's situational. It's person by person, and you gotta be realistic with yourself too. At that time, it's one thing about having confidence and being realistic too. It's like it's a fine line. But to this day, I always regretted like not taking school more serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So, what would you say to a kid who currently they're not taking school seriously?
I would say you always need a backup plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, not because you're not good enough for plan A, but you just never know the situation, how stuff gonna play out. So you always want to make sure, like, if plan A don't work, you know, I like doing X, Y, and Z, and the only way to know that is through trial and error, school, experiences, you know, and people you look up to too. Like, I like what he does. I'm gonna see. You know, how can I do that? Or if I can't do that, then what's next? Or I'm gonna look at this person and I don't want to do what he does because, you know, he made this mistake or that mistake. So it's kind of like navigating from a personal experience and also looking at people that came before you.
Yeah, nah, man. I think that's great advice, man. I think that's great advice. So you do declare, all right? You declare, and tell us about like that journey.
It's crazy because that few months seemed like a lifetime. It was so we played our last game against Air Force. We lost, and on the plane ride, I was like, man, gotta go back to school. We lost. It's cold. I went to school in Chicago. It's cold. So we get back to school, and I don't know if it was the next day or the day after that. So I go to class, and I'm just in class. You know those mornings you wake up. You just kind of don't want to be bothered. You don't want people talking to you. Everything irritating you, like the sound of somebody's voice, like, man, stop talking to me right now. So it was like one of them situations. I was in class, teacher, not even talking to me, just teaching. I'm like, man, hate this teacher. Don't like the teacher though, just a day. So I stood up. I kind of looked around like, man, I think I'm about to go home. And my teammate was like, what you doing? Like, man, I think I'm about to go home.
I think I read about this.
I need a break. I want to go home. So I went home, and then my AAU coach, well, one of my AAU coaches had started being the agent around the time that I started playing with that team back in Detroit. So when I was talking to him, he was like, bro, like, you either got to go back to school or you got to declare for the draft. And I think he thought I was going to say go back to school because I wasn't even on the draft board. And it was one of those situations, it was like everybody was like, oh, you can get drafted next year. He's a good player, get drafted, you know, stuff like that.
Now, this is your sophomore year?
This is my sophomore year, but I'm not on the radar for this year, this upcoming draft. And I was like, nah, I think I'm going to put my name in the draft. He like, what? Like, So when that happened, it was, you know, how people are. It's like, oh, this kid the dumbest kid I ever seen. Like, what is he doing? Like, he's not even on the draft board. So I left, went down to Atlanta and started pre-draft, working out for the draft or whatever. So we had a couple guys that was like bigger names that was going to be lottery picks. So I'm keeping up, if not doing better. So I'm killing it actually. So I get into a situation where I go work out for a team. Situation happened. It was like, okay, I came back, so now I'm not going to work out for no more teams. I'm hurt at this time, so I don't go to pre-draft camp. I don't work out for no teams, but that team, my ankle hurt at this time. So again, oh, this kid dumb. He left school. He's not on the draft board. Now he's not going to pre-draft camp. He's not going to no teams to work out. So it's like, this is the dumbest kid I ever seen. And draft night come, I get drafted. Of course, the 23rd pick.
With the Knicks.
Isaiah Thomas, Michigan bad boy, Detroit bad boy, Pistons bad boy, and the rest is history.
Man.
So when you did this. You did a workout with this one team, all right, and you ended up getting drafted. Now you official NBA player.
Official, first round, guaranteed for at least 2 years.
And what when you learned that, like what was, now we watched the NBA draft, we see the kids get called, like where were you in fact? Where were you in it?
So I was actually at the draft, but you know you got the guys that's invited to the draft, like so they all in the green room, they call it whatever. I was in the stands with the fans.
Really?
And it's crazy because historically, like when the Knicks draft somebody, they always boo.
Wow.
They didn't boo me.
They didn't boo you.
It's crazy. I don't know why. They didn't boo me.
Wow. It was meant to be, man.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, man.
So do you come down?
So I come out the stands, go on stage, shake David Stern hand.
Stern at the time,
at the time. Shake his hand. go do my interviews after that, put the cap on.
So now, like I told you earlier, man, you know, I'm not here just as, you know, the pastor or the director for this event that we got going on. I'm a fan too, right? So man, what's it like now? You're in the league, your first game. Did you play your first game or?
Nah, so you know, you go through summer league and all that. So, but that's all the younger players in the draft pick. So I'm playing, of course. I'm starting. I'm playing. I did good too. Played real good in summer league. So I'm thinking like, man, I might be able to play on the team. But you know, at that time we got Stephon Marbury, we got Jamal Crawford, we got Quentin Richardson, we got Zach Randolph, we got Eddie Curry. That's how I started lineup. Then on the bench we got Jerry Jeffers, we got Nate Robinson, David Lee, Fred Jones, Allen Houston kind of trying to make his comeback. We got a bunch of talent, like on paper, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know why I was thinking I was gonna play. So we go through summer league. I play great. Then we go back to New York, just working out like our daily stuff, and then we go to training camp. Training camp go good, but then I'm realizing like it's levels to it. Like summer league, this is the real NBA. So I don't play like the first like 60 games of the season. So that was a adjustment. Sure. Training camp was an adjustment. Like the 2 days for that time we was there, you know what I'm saying, playing against grown men. You know, I'm playing against physical players like Zebo, Quentin Richardson, Eddie Curry, these big dudes.
They
like,
big dudes,
so now it's like real elbows, real physical. And they from Chicago, they from New York. So they talking. So that's an adjustment, but man, it's crazy. Everybody on that team loved me, though. So that was an adjustment, just that, and then going and not playing, and then just having to deal with that every day. Like, I know I'm not playing. I'm in a suit. That's, you know, when you in the suit, like, I'm tie, dress shoes, like, I know I'm not playing. So that was an adjustment in itself, just not, you know what I'm saying, playing. I come from playing.
Yeah, and not just playing, but like being the man on the team.
And then that part I don't got a problem with, because you know, in college, like if you would say if a scout was looking potential-wise, I'd be the best player on that team. But we had a player too, like, you know what I'm saying, he was older, he was a senior. You know what I'm saying, he was our best player, depending on who you ask. It was either me or him, one or two. So I can always fit in like with other good players. And I think that was going back to high school, I think that's why I did so good in camp when I went to NBA camp, when I went to ABCD camp, because I was on the team. In NBA camp, I was on the team with Monte Ellis and DJ Augustine and other players, and I just, you know, I fit in well because I could do like an Army Swiss, you know, like I could score a little bit, play defense, rebound, you know what I'm saying? So that never was my, like being like the man on the team. Because I then coming back from, you know, elementary, then going to high school, like it was a transition to get to that point where I was the best player on the team.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too, because man, just kind of hearing your story right now. When you first started off, you said, you know, I wasn't the best player on the team, didn't have the confidence, but I'm there. Get to high school, man, we got 10 sophomores, 3 seniors, they getting all the touches. I might be the best player on the team, depending on who you ask, but I'm playing in a particular role and I'm doing well at that role, right? And it seemed like you've been doing that your whole journey.
Yeah, and this man, that's what I'm saying. I played with a lot of players in my life, just didn't have long careers that could have possibly had long careers, just not figuring it out, like, what's my role? Like, how do I excel in this role? And then too, like, a lot of players, like, you supposed to listen to people around you, but at the same time, you gotta know what's real and what's not real. Like, you know what I'm saying, what's unrealistic. Like, you listening to like your family and friends, of course they're gonna tell you, like, man, you the best player on the team. And you gotta, but if you got Amari Stoudemire on your team, like, are you really the best? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like they don't get it. So it's like they hard headed. They hard to deal with, they hard to coach, they hard to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, I'm not gonna deal with a 10 points per game player. Like a 10 point, like, don't get me wrong, 10 points and it's good, but you can get that. You know what I'm saying? You can't get 30. You know what I'm saying? At a high level, like, you know what I'm saying? At a high level consistently, you know what I'm saying? Like like a lot of the players, like you can be easily replaced, and that's just like that's the NBA. That's basketball in general. Like, what have you done for me lately? Like, I can get one of you like every day.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's
man. What you're saying is so deep, man, and I think it also translates.
Whether you're talking about the NBA or AAU or Little League or whatever, where kids kind of understanding like, yo, you have a role. Like, if you can learn to embrace a role and excel at that role, then you can get more responsibility.
Yeah, and roles always change. You might not be that same player forever.
Yeah.
You might not start off as that player, or you might end as a different player. You know what I'm saying? Just that at that time, what the situation is, and then just kind of figuring that out, reading the room. You know what I mean? Because like if we go into a high school game, the way you look at a game might be different than the way I look at a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might be looking at it from a fan standpoint. I might be looking at it how's a college coach looking at it?
Yeah.
So you average 15 points, but you hard to deal with, you hard to coach,
Yeah.
you take bad shots.
Yeah.
And you only give me 15, so
Right,
you
right.
shooting 5 for 20 from the field.
Yeah.
And you averaging 15. I got a kid who's a sophomore, younger
Yeah.
than you. He averaging 15, but
Yeah.
he's shooting 6 from 10 from the
Yeah.
field. Easy to coach, younger.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going with
And
that.
then too, it's like, if you're not scoring, like, what are you doing? You're not playing defense. You're not getting back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not talking to your teammates. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not doing, like, the little extras.
Yeah.
So it's like, what am I getting? So
Yeah.
I feel like every player feel like I got to be a 20 points per game scorer in high school or whatever to go to college. But that ain't really necessarily true either.
Man, I was.
I mean, it is true, like, you know what I'm saying, for certain
yeah.
players, but everybody's situation different because.
Man, I
I say this, man. I heard Brad Stevens, Celtics, used to be Butler head coach.
Yeah.
He was telling a story about how he had a friend who coached high school. This is when he was at Butler. He had a friend who coached high school, and the friend like, yo, you need to come check this player out, right? And he just kind of like was on his head, like, come and check this guy out. Man, he go check the guy out. He said the dude couldn't rebound, he couldn't dribble, and he couldn't shoot. And he looking at his friend after the game like, man, why you?
That's a lot of that.
Why you telling me? Why you run? He said, listen, man, he can't play. He can't play. He's not the greatest dribbler, shooter, rebounder, but man, he's a hell of a leader in the locker room.
Yeah.
And Brad Stevens said he gave this kid a full scholarship to play basketball with him just based on his leadership. Yeah. And he in other words, he took on a specific role and he played that role. He got a full ride scholarship. Now, I mean, you can't beat a free.
Nah, you can't. And then, like I said, everybody, like, they road to where they going is different. Like, 'cause we all look at, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to, like, look at stuff and be like, man, why is he there? There's a lot of players in the NBA that people like, why is he even there?
Yeah.
But it's like, he might be a great locker room
Right,
guy or
right,
this
right.
or that. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? You
yeah.
just don't know how he affect that team. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, everybody feel like Draymond easily replaceable.
Yeah.
But, like, you don't know. Like, you might could put a player there with the same skill set or a better skill set, but like, how is he gonna affect that team, like, from a leadership standpoint or for a toughness standpoint or whatever? Like, we don't know.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? I imagine me, like, since I played, it'd be hard to replace that because he like the heart of that team.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Steph is
sure.
Steph is the player,
I
the best
get
player,
everything
but you
you're
know
saying.
what
I
I'm
get
saying? But
everything you're saying.
it's different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it depends. Like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you gotta do more than, you know what I'm saying, what you think. Like,
Right.
everybody think, like, I gotta score this to get in there. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, it's a lot of players that can score, bro.
Yeah.
Like, when I played, like, I scored, but I wasn't, like, in high school, like, you know what I'm saying, it was 23, 24, 25, my averages, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I had players in my class, Monte Ellis, averaging, like, 40 points.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Lou Williams averaging, like, 40 points.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but that's what they do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So-
They great at that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Allen Iverson was great at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you AI, when you Monte Ellis, when you Steph, like, it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? But when you ain't hit that yet, like, you got to figure out until, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, I think I'm rocking with what you're saying, man. I hope the kids are rocking with what you're saying. You started mentioning some names, man. So I'm just curious now. You're in the league, right? You first get to play. Like, walk us through your first start.
Man, I don't remember my first start. I should remember my first start, but I don't remember my first start. I know I started playing towards the end of my my rookie season because we wasn't gonna make the playoffs or whatever. So it was like, so I started playing. I do remember one like specific. Like I don't know if it was my first play, but I don't know why this always stick out in my head. Like I said, Zebo, he was Zach Randolph. He's aggressive. Yeah. And he had a post up, and he real good in the post. So he had his man who was guarding him, and then I wasn't playing, so I'm new in the NBA. So my man was kind of like sagging off me, kind of like playing like in the middle between me. I had the ball at the time. I was at the 3-point line, like kind of at the
top of the key, or
not the top of the key, kind of like at an angle at the side. And he was, I was finna insert it to the post, and he was in the post up. But my man playing kind of halfway in between me and him, so he kind of sitting in his lap. So I shot it, and I made it. And on the way down to the court, back on defense, he like, bro, you gotta give me the ball. Like I'm like, bro, I made it. Like, but he's sitting in your leg, like, bro, I don't care what you talking about, give me the ball. But I started playing towards the end of my rookie season. I think it was like 10, 12 games or whatever, maybe more, but it was like around that sample size. But I wasn't scoring 20 or whatever, but it was to the point where I was like, I can do this. I can do this. Like I don't even hear the crowd. Like talent-wise, I could play. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that little sample size gave me the confidence. I already had it, but that gave me the reassurance. Like I can do this. Like this nothing.
So, man, did you ever get to a point where you like, man, I can't believe I'm on the court with?
Oh yeah,
what was that like?
That came a lot of times. That came when I first got drafted. It was like, I can't believe it's David Stern. But every time, I think every time it happened. Like then I got a call probably a couple days after the draft from Steph, from Stephon Marbury, and he was talking about like, oh, I need you to come here or whatever. So we had this little workout session or whatever. So I was like, dang, Stephon Marbury called me. And like when Isaiah Thomas first called me in to have a meeting, Isaiah Thomas. So it happened. Every step it happened. But like the person like I wanted to meet the most, like not even want to meet the most, but like I looked up to the most like growing up, was Kobe. So like the first time I was on the court with him, it was like, man, it's Kobe. Like, and it's crazy like when you meet somebody for the first time, it's like you never know how it's gonna go. Like the first time we played them, I didn't play, so I didn't meet him there. I met him when I was actually like playing, like against them. And like he knew who I was, so it's like, he knows, like so he watching, he paying attention. So it's like that's one of them surreal moments.
Man. That's great, man. That's dope, man. Just a kid from Ben Harbor, you know what I'm saying, on the court with Kobe and doing your thing as well. So look, you played for. I want to kind of wrap this thing up, man. So you played for 10, 11 years? 13 years. 13 seasons. So you started with the Knicks, was there for 2 years.
So I was there 3.5 seasons. I got traded on the deadline to Denver for Melo. So when he went to New York, I went to Denver. And I was there for, I was there for 7.5 years, so that's a total of 11, right? My math right. So I was there, and then in that span, during the lockout in 2011, I went to China because the NBA was the players and the NBA didn't come to an agreement. So I went to China and played. So I was there for that season. Came back then. Was that 2012 or whatever that season? But I was there 7.5 years, and then after that, I split time between one season between. Philly. I got traded to Philly. And I was there for a half a season. I got hurt, got traded that deadline in the middle of the season to the Clippers. So I split that for 1 year, so that's 12 years, and now 1 year with the Nets.
Got you. Man, so having a 13-year NBA career, man, which in and of itself is a major accomplishment. Within those 13 years, man, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned, biggest takeaways?
The first biggest lesson I learned, it was so simple. At the time, it kind of went over my head. I think about it a lot now. Isaiah Thomas, he called me in for a meeting in his office. I mean, he said a lot of stuff. We met for like 45 minutes. He said a lot of stuff that meant a lot, but at the time he had told me that he built it up. He was telling me why, whatever. But the statement that he made was like the same thing you would do with a little bit is the same thing you would do with a lot. So it's just like basically like if you don't change your mindset, it don't mean like you are who you are or whatever. So if you bad with money, you got $1.
You bad with little money.
You're gonna be bad with $100 million until you learn financial literacy. So you know what I'm saying. So like now as an adult, I understand. Like you gotta like I had to go through a lot of stuff just to understand that, but. Like now I understand, like, and I overlooked that because it was so simple. It's like, man, all right, whatever. Like, what is that? What does that even mean?
You brought it up. You started talking about financial literacy stuff, right? And so, so you talked about the lesson that Isaiah Thomas gave you in terms of, you know, whatever you do with a little, you'll also do with a lot, right? And with that being said, you talked about becoming financially literate, right? So talk to us, man, about because you know if somebody is in high school right now, they like, man, I don't have no money, I don't have no budget. Like, why should I be trying to learn about money right now? I ain't rich.
I mean, you should. I mean, because a lot of NBA, a lot of athletes don't even have like the basic like financial skills, and I think now it's starting to change because like we got so much access to information, and like like people want to learn, but like just being an adult, I see a lot of players, like including myself, like with certain stuff, it's just being an adult. Like once you stop playing, because like the NBA kind of hinder you a little bit too, because you're so focused on sports. Like just being a regular adult is like renewing your plates, paying bills, just like simple everyday stuff that you should know. But like you should know it from the standpoint of just kind of how like we in the system, whether we agree with it or not. A lot of people try to overthrow the system. We've been in the system for a long time, so it's kind of you gotta kind of know the system whether you like it or not. So just taxes, 30-year mortgages, like it's just part of being a citizen. So it's like whether you agree with it or not, like you don't want to be left behind. You know what I'm saying? And it's steady evolving. So now we got. Well, we had the traditional way, but we got so much other stuff now. Tech is big. You know what I'm saying? Cryptocurrency is big. All this other, it's a lot of stuff. It's you know what I'm saying, on top of what we already don't know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, just being, I don't even want to say ahead of the curve, just having the basic knowledge just to, make yourself a better person.
For sure. Man, speaking of that, man, I just a shout out to you again, man, for, we did some work here together one time. We did a financial literacy thing. Gave away some shoes to the kids and so on and so forth. And so I think it's always a beautiful thing when you have people like yourself and others who have learned and who want to, give to the next generation to make sure that they're not making the same mistake that you made as far as finances are concerned. And I know you into tech. I know you into business stuff. And so after playing in the league, what are some of the things that you're currently doing now?
A little bit of that, but even with myself, like when you don't know, you don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have like that person telling me like, you should do this and X, Y, and Z. I mean, I did in a sense, but like not like where it's like a straight path, like, like a mentor or whatever. But so you take a lot of bumps and bruises and make a lot of bad investments and stuff like that. But I mean, you eventually learn. It's like a kid, they keep touching a hot stove. Eventually they go like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, just trying to like figure out, you have those things, like I said, that you kind of, that's more like your traditional stuff, like your stocks and bonds and stuff like that. But you kind of make sure like you got that as your safety net so you can maybe take chances in other areas and just kind of see what's out there. But I think, man, there's so many ways like to create, revenue or businesses, like, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, even then, more so now, but, back then you did too. You had you had your stocks and bonds, your real estates, and like I said, you got evolving things now. So it's a lot of ways, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of getting out there, finding information, you know what I'm saying? Finding the right people, because even with social media, like it made a lot of stuff easier. It also made it a lot harder too. So now you got to navigate scams and people that's on there just because they can be on there saying X, Y, and Z. So it's like, it's harder in a sense too, but it's just kind of like same thing with basketball, kind of just like finding a niche, you know what I'm saying? Like you got your necessities and stuff that you need to do, but like finding your niche, like what do I like, what makes me happy. I want to learn more about this and see how you can make a revenue from that.
Yeah.
Nah, man, I think that's great, man. And I just wanted to put a little plug here within our program, the ASAP Challenge. You can go to asapchallenge.com to get more information about this. We have a little section in there where we talk about financial literacy and how big that is for young athletes to be able to start learning early.
People in general, kids in general. Like, I mean, like the event that you threw here was great. Like, it wasn't just about what I had going on or one thing. You had people from whether it was real estate, where they had banking.
They had banking,
real everything, estate, mortgages, right?
Taxes, mortgages, buying a house, all those different things. And I think the earlier a kid can learn those things, man, then the better off they'll be when they have to make decisions about those things.
Yeah, and I think it's not one of those things where it's sexy, it's not the most creative, but it's like, it's necessities, man. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now you can go do the more creative or sexy stuff or the passion projects and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you got to have a foundation, though. It's like.
For sure.
Man, so the name of the theme for the summit is Rise Above It, right? You shared some things here with us. You know, you talked about, rising above, doubting yourself, based on circumstance and situation. What would you say to a kid out there who's watching right now? They're at the summit. They're sitting down. What do you think is like, if you're going to rise above it, it being whatever, what do they need to do?
I would say it's hard to tell like somebody what they need to do, but I think something that you do need to do, I think it's like a general basis for everybody, is like kind of be patient with yourself, kind of take it one day at a time, because it's a process, because you got your life that you had, whether you're 10-year-old, 20-year-old, but then you have the people that you grew up with. They built up a foundation. So you come from a foundation. So if you're trying to change or do certain stuff, it's like being patient, taking it one day at a time, being consistent, being persistent, just kind of being delicate with yourself too, because you can't change stuff in one day overnight. I think it's just being persistent. Whatever it is that you want to do or trying to change, or even if you're good at it and you're trying to get better, just being persistent and consistent with it and just taking it one day at a time and being patient with yourself and being delicate with yourself too. Like not being too down on yourself when everything going bad and not being too high once you get that small success. Like just take that one small success and keep compounding that and just kind of going with that.
Yeah. Now that's good, man. And especially the part about being patient with yourself. Because, sometimes, man, we make a mistake and feel like it's the end of the world. And
I do that all the time. Like, I'm so used to being good at basketball. Like, when I try to do other stuff, like, if I'm not good right away, I be like, man, I'm not doing that. And I kind of be like, man, I got to be, like, patient, you know what I mean? So I just started fishing. Well, I always grew up fishing, but I just started bass fishing. Okay. And it's a different type of fishing, you know what I'm saying? You gotta go hunt like bass. It's more like that. So it's like, at first I'm like, man, this ain't it. So but being patient, now I love it because it's like, it's a peace of mind. And it's like kind of like problem solving. Like I gotta find a specific lure like they want to bite today, you know what I'm saying? Based on the weather, based on like the water temperature or the body of water I'm at. So it's peaceful in a sense, and it's kind of give me that competitive drive. Like I need to figure this out.
Nah, that's good.
That's good, man. And it all comes, and it sounds like it all comes from you getting to the, you realizing that I got to be patient with myself. The same way I put in time with basketball, it's gonna take me some time to learn how to, go bass fishing. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna have ups and downs, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, so you not only play ball, you not only do business, but you have kids. And so you're a dad now. You got 2 kids.
No, I got 4.
You got 4 kids?
Yeah, 4 kids, I guess got my, the 2 oldest ones, like, they play sports. So it's like, exactly.
That's how I know them. So they playing sports now. Are you like on them? Like, are you one of them dads who like, you about to go to the NBA or you about to go to the WNBA or?
I am. I'm not publicly on them, but at home, I just from being there, it's just like more so like, okay, if you're gonna play basketball, like this is like the reality of it. This not your grandma telling you that you great already, because that's what grandmas do, right? And it's kind of like trying to. I think at first it was too much of a this what I did.
Yeah.
Now I gotta kind of like give them a little bit of that, but like back off. It's a different time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody situation different. And I'm like they coming from a different upbringing than I had and stuff like that, and just with access to more stuff too. So it's like sometimes I see them like you're not doing that right, but it's, you know that's not the way either. So it's kind of like I kind of like stay like in the back, cause like even though I'm an NBA player, like kids get tired of hearing their parents all the time. So it's like sometimes I let the coach do it, or let the trainer do it, or whatever. So it's kind of like more so putting them in the right situations than me doing it myself.
Gotcha.
You know? And sometimes that's tough too, cause I changed my daughter's school, and then she had to sit out this year. Well, she has to sit out this year. She was frustrated at first, but she's starting to see those small successes. Like she made the national team for her AAU team. She was on the B team last year.
Okay.
She's getting better, and people like her trainers, people who's been working with her like the last couple years or whatever, and I see you look like you're getting better or whatever. So you know what I'm saying? So now it's starting to kind of make sense to her. And then same with my son. So it's kind of like being like the manager now, and more so like than the dictator.
Gotcha.
So and that's a whole learning experience too. It's like my grandparents, they from down south. It's old school way of being a parent. So it's like kind of like figuring that out too, like being a parent too. So it's like a lot to figure out too with that.
Yeah, nah, that's cool, man. What would you say in terms of how important is it for young people, young athletes who on the verge of making it, or just in general? How important is it, man, for them to choose or to examine their circle of friends? Like, how much does your circle of friends influence you being able to get to where you got to?
I mean, it does. It just, man, it depends. Like, each person, like I said, like they set of friends and what they friends into, what they into. It does for sure, and that always changes. Every year it's like it's evolving. Like your set of friends. 'Cause you got your friends from junior high, high school. You might got your sports friends, your friends from your neighborhood. So it's like that's a lot of intangibles with that, but it definitely affects it, and like you just kind of, it's hard. You know what I mean? It's like at this point in my life, whatever point that is, but whatever, like that, this point in my life is like what friends am I? You don't want to say it in a bad way, like what am I benefiting from? Like you're using them, but like just like what's like better for me as a you know what I'm saying person. I think it's kind of like you always got to evaluate that, because people grow at different times.
That's right,
like what I'm saying, some people early, some people constantly grow, some people later in life. So I think it's just always evaluating that. And then, some people, it's hard to let go. You know what I mean? Some people with you forever, some people you gotta, let go whether, you want to or not. You know what I mean? It's kind of like everybody learning at different stages. Sometimes it's like an easy mutual thing, like you might just grow apart. Sometimes you might have to be like, bro, hey, like this is what it is. So it's,
man.
Sometimes you got a cold turkey, like you just gotta get away.
I hear you, man. So, man, what would you say, man? Wrapping this up, man. What would you say has been your biggest accomplishment in your life up to this point?
I think it's been the last few months actually. Just kind of not saying I never lived for myself or did what I wanted to do, but it's kind of like I was outside of basketball. Like who am I as a person, and what do I actually like not what I think I like, what I actually like, what's feeding my peace, what's feeding my mental, whatever, and just kind of dealing with problems, kind of dealing with them head on instead of beating around the bush. Because basketball kind of can enable that too, because it's such a getaway. You know what I'm saying? So you play basketball for so long, go to the gym, focus on the game. You're not really focusing on personal stuff. So I think the last few months, I think I've been most proud of that, just because I've just been dealing with a lot of stuff I kind of put on the back burner, or just with mental, with spirituality, with certain things, and just different relationships and stuff. Kind of just dealing with that and just being more responsible and being realistic with that too as well.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, man. Conflict is the easiest thing to avoid, but when you deal with it, you grow.
Yeah, especially when it's like your own conflict. Like that's a different
Yeah,
ball game too. Like you don't really got nobody to blame, so now you gotta sit here like and just get everything in order. Like you can't blame the coach, you can't blame whoever it is. Like you just
the man in the mirror.
Yeah, you gotta deal with those certain karmas, like because it's going to eventually come around. So just like dealing with that head on.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Not necessarily being a bad thing.
Right.
Like, so it could be stuff that might be a blessing in disguise. Like you know what I'm saying. It's just tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean. So
yeah.
Nah, man. Well, listen, man. I'm just super appreciative. Before I go though, man, I'm gonna ask those two fellas over there, man. You got an NBA player right here, man. They watch NBA games all the time. They play 2K all the time. So y'all have any questions, man, that you want to ask them?
Now they quiet. They're gonna have 1,000 questions.
What's your favorite 2K team? If we playing 2K right now, who you picking? Really? That's interesting. Why? Why? I like De'Aaron Fox. That's a good answer. I thought you was gonna say Boston, Denver, Phoenix. What's your favorite?
If I like pick a team.
Yeah, if we was playing 2K right now, who you playing with?
Celtics.
I'm a Celtics fan too. Not historically, but I like this team.
This team right here.
Yeah.
Man, you got any other questions, man?
What's your favorite team to play against?
My favorite team, man, that's tough. I think it's the different. I've played in a couple eras in the NBA. When I first came in the league, I think my favorite team was to play against was Boston. With they had KG and Ray Allen, Rondo, and Paul Pierce. There's just the atmosphere and like the legends they had on the team. Later in my career, OKC when they had KD and Russ, Golden State, of course. So yeah.
Is that a championship ring?
Nah, I wish it was. I never won a championship, man. I wish.
Well, man, you're a champion for Ben Harvey, man, and man, I appreciate you again, man, for coming through. And I just want to say to you, personally, man, from this interview and from other times we worked together, like I said, we did the financial literacy piece here at the church. Man, I think you're an asset to the community, man. I respect you, I honor you, I appreciate you, and I wish you much success, man. In fact, I hope that these next later years of your life, man, will be 10 times greater than anything you ever did in the NBA.
Being on the ground working, because it ain't easy. So I definitely appreciate you because you're not from here.
Yeah.
But you've been here, treating everybody as you were. So.
Yeah. Nah, man. Well, appreciate it, man. Thanks again, bro. Hopefully we get a chance to do this at some other time in the future.
Whatever. Anytime. Let me know.
But yeah, well, listen, guys. We spent some time with Wilson Chandler, and we're grateful for the things that he's been doing in the community. And the nuggets that he shared, the nuggets that he shared with us, man, during this time together. So we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Problem is, too many talented athletes are losing to adversity. And I want to teach you a solution to help you rise above adversity.